I kinda want to know what went through the person's head that made this. You know what I'll turn this stick into? A fucking cricket. And it'll be a magical cricket at that. Someone made this. Like, for real. And it's not like any bloody peasant can make this. You need a skilled goldsmith for this. So somewhere out there, a person that spent years becoming a smith thought to themselves that it'd be a pretty damn good idea to turn a bit of silver in not an entire nug, no, into just a single foot of a nug. There are a few paragon carvings around, but this one is of someone that was about to be a paragon. Poor fucker did something so monumental in their life that the dwarves thought it a nice idea to put them on the list of paragons to be, but left them there. Being under consideration must have been enough for them. Granting the actual title was just too much of a hassle. Now, this counts for all of them, because no matter which one it is, I ask myself the same thing. What's it doing here? I mean, I'm out in the arse end of nowhere, in a dark cave, beating spiders to death with a hammer, and you want me to believe that it served in the military with such high esteem that they gave this mistake of nature a medal. Okay, fair enough. Maybe it just ended up eating someone that got a medal. But in that case, it's even worse that bloody things are apparently so worthless that I get barely 70 coins for them at the vendor. How many drugs were involved in the creation of this abomination? Who looked at a Hala, this graceful, majestic as fuck creature, and then decided to crossbreed it with a walking ballsack? I'm fairly certain that they hanged people for lesser offenses. Imagine that after a hard dragon fight, you find a small notebook on a cliff. It must have belonged to some poor sod that wanted to study the dragon from afar. You open it up only to find sketches of dragons inside that must be so utterly shite that the first thing on your mind is to sell it to the nearest peddler of deformed clams, who will give you a whopping 10 coins for that. Remember that amount for later, it'll put into perspective just how shit these sketches must be. Say what you want about Sarah, and it's not a secret that I hate her character, but you have to give her credit for apparently stealing so many pants and stuffing them in a bag that when your character opens said bag, they just go like, fuck's sake, I can't carry all of those. Granted, they must be quite shit quality pants, because these multiple dozen pants are worth a collective 16 coins. Which is still more than the sketches. Think about that. A vendor will give you more money for worn, unwashed, cheaply made pants than sketches of a dragon made in a notebook. That's gotta be depressing as hell. But it gets worse. Gotta be honest, this is only here because I'm biased. But fuck you, it's my show. Griffins died out a few hundred years back, and you just happened to find a charm made out of their real, actual feathers. And instead of giving it to a scholar for study, you decide to sell it to this roadside wanker in the Hinterwäldler lands. I cannot decide if this is an actual knuckle bone from the Battle of Valerian, or if the battle was fought on the Valerian knuckle bone. If it's an actual knuckle bone, how the fuck did you figure that out? It's not like they carve it in there. And as far as I know, we've never went to a place called Valerian, let alone Knucklebone, in the games. So how did whatever this is even get to where you are? Either someone took a relic with them and died, which is plausible, or someone took an actual Knucklebone with them and died, which is psychotic. This is by far the most disgusting fucked up thing they could think of. Someone, somewhere, found the gallstone of one of these things and decided to make it into a necklace or something similar to that, instead of doing the reasonable thing and burning it in a volcano. The worst thing is, there's a similar thing in the actual real world. I'll spare you the details, but if you're curious, just look up what a bezoar is. And again, this charm of literal gallstone is worth more than someone's Dragan Sketches. Poor fucker that made those.